What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Flippin' Bats. It is Tuesday. We got a great one for you today. A lot to talk about. Corbin Burnes and the Brewers' relationship is not in a good place. Catcher tears coming at you today. We got a lot. Disha Thosar is going to join me to talk being at Yankees camp, being at Mets camp. We got another bat to give away. 3 more custom bats still out there. So keep listening. You'll hear all about that soon. This one's going to be a blast. Let's get to it.
It's a ball out, 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits out a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball, deep center field. It is gone! Home run! And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
What is up, my friends? Alex, it has been quite the weekend for me.
You sound like you've been at a bachelor party. Let me just throw that out there. If you've been following Ben on social media, I mean, he was doing all the things. Nashville, you look
Vegas.
and you sound like you were on a bachelor party. If you're just listening, he's
Thank you.
He's got the puffy eyes. He's got a little raspy voice. It means you had a good time.
You know, we're about a month away from really ramping up the season.
Yeah.
My life is going to be baseball for a long time.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to let your hair down and get after it.
Always.
You know? I had a great weekend. Nashville's great. Had never been. So
that was your first time?
That was my first time. And I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Virginia.
That's crazy. It's changed a lot. It really has turned into like the bachelorette destination.
Yeah.
And is, as you said, Nash Vegas. It's the new Las Vegas. It's the new like where everybody's going for bachelor and bachelorette trips.
It was.
I love it.
It was a blast.
It's a blast.
So
you go to honky tonks?
Glad I look awful and sound awful.
You don't.
Thank you, Alex. Let's get to baseball. Just kidding. How was your weekend?
Mine was great.
You're on the herd right now. Every day this week, right?
I am. Yeah.
Great.
Just came upstairs. Came up a couple levels.
You're killing it.
We're bouncing. We're having a good
time. I
time.
watched yesterday, not today, because I was
that's okay.
here.
I'll forgive you. I don't know. We're fighting already this morning. I posted like our pre-video to promote the show, and you had me redo it to put you in it, and then you did yours and didn't even put me in it. Well, we're off to a great start.
Karma.
Fabulous start.
This is going to be a fun one. Make sure you keep listening, because at some point I'm going to drop the winner of the previous bat and the new email to win another custom Flippin' Bats bat. It is sick. So stick around. A little while later in the episode, I will give you the email to just send a screenshot that you are subscribed to Flippin' Bats. That's all you got to do, and you could win a bat. And we just sent out the first few. I wrote a little note and everything.
Oh, that's cute. You
Yeah.
know, I want to see some cool creative photos. So if you win these bats, please take photos with them and tag us in them. So it's kind of like flipping bats around the world, wherever you are, wherever they may be. I'm excited to hear what the email is.
And
this
they're
week.
limited edition. Never been. That's one of 6.
Talk it up. It's
sick.
great.
Let's talk. This is actually. I want to start with Corbin Burnes and the Brewers because, man, this kind of pissed me off, to be honest. I'm a big fan of Corbin Burnes, and he won a Cy Young Award just a couple of years ago. He continues to be one of the best pitchers in the game of baseball. And the Brewers decided to go to arbitration with him. And just a quick synopsis here, arbitration is basically the process that the two sides, meaning Corbin Burnes and the Milwaukee Brewers, couldn't come to an agreement on what he should get paid for this one season, right? So you go through the process of having a neutral arbitrator figure that out. It is a nasty process. And the Brewers went through this process with their best player, their best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the game of baseball, over $750,000. So before we dive into Alex and I's both thoughts here, I think we have a clip to play from what Corbin Burnes had to say. When he arrived to spring training, he was very honest about his thoughts and went on and on, but I think we have a good clip right here, so let's play that.
Yeah, like I say, you kind of find out your true value. You think you work hard for 7 years in the organization and 5 years with the big league team, and you get in there and basically they value you much different than what you thought you contributed to the organization. And it's just, it's obviously it's tough to hear, it's tough to take, but they're trying to do what they can to win a hearing. But I think there was obviously other ways that they could have gone about it, and probably been a little more respectful with the way they went about it. But at the end of the day, here we are. They obviously they won it. but when it came down to winning or losing the hearing, it was more than that for me. Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that the relationship is definitely hurt from what perspired over the last couple weeks. There's really no way getting around that. Obviously, we're professionals, and we're going to go out there and do our job, and I'm going to keep giving what I can every fifth day that I go out there. But when some of the things that are said that for instance, basically put me in the forefront of the reason why we didn't make the postseason last year. That's something that probably doesn't need to be said.
Corbin was not happy.
No. This whole situation is just really unfortunate. You could hear it in his voice. You could see it in his face. And my question is it worth ruining a relationship with one of your guys over $750,000?
The sad thing is the Brewers won the arbitration.
Yes, I know. Meaning,
what do you win? You get $750,000, but you piss off a guy that might want to leave?
You ruined a relationship.
Right.
You want to feel when you're with an organization. And this is also, like, I would imagine a struggle for some athletes, because you adapt the team and the franchise and you want to feel like you're a part of it, but it is still a business, and you kind of forget that sometimes. And we see that with trades, with situations like this where players don't feel like they're getting paid what their value is. But when it's something under $1 million you are fighting over, just pay the man. Make him happy. It's only going to help you in the future.
The Brewers, they blamed Corbin Burnes for not making the playoffs.
Ridiculous.
The audacity of the Brewers. He's your best player.
Yeah.
He's your best team.
Yeah.
You want to find out the reason for not making the playoffs? How about we start at the trade deadline where you shipped out your best reliever and your problem was offense and you did absolutely nothing and you decided to get worse at the trade deadline? Don't blame him. Don't blame Corbin Burnes for this. Unbelievable. It just pissed me off. And I feel like multiple times I find myself lately talking about owners and doing it the right way, because there's teams out there that we're really getting to see, like, I can point to the teams that the owner is a fan and wants to win.
Yeah.
The Mets, the Padres, the Dodgers, though they didn't have their typical offseason, the Dodgers clearly want to win and are willing to do it. And the Braves, and they're all doing it in different ways, but they want to win. And then I can point to teams that don't. And I don't think the owners are in it for the right reason. And the Brewers have to be one of those to this point. I mean, congratulations on your $750,000. You're now going to probably lose Corbin Burnes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know for that. I don't know that to be a fact, but I can tell you he's not happy. And it just is, it's frustrating that a team and an organization really, to me, showed its true colors by saying, okay, yeah, I'm an owner of a baseball team, but this is an investment for me. This is a money-making thing for me. Not, I want to win, and I'm willing to do what it takes. Just imagine a guy like Steve Cohen taking one of his best players to arbitration and just battering him over $750,000. It wouldn't happen.
It's unheard of. What I'm curious about is, like, what are some of the things you think are said in these arbitration hearings? Because you're going to hear things that you can't take back.
I know. I've heard from a lot of guys. It's
Brutal?
really bad.
Yeah.
I remember. I think Sean Casey has told this story publicly. It's not anything bad on him, but I just remember hearing Sean Casey, who I played with my brother in Detroit, played kind of all over the place, and now does great stuff on TV. And I remember talking to him at one point. And he was like, I went to arbitration, and we were outside of the room, and me and the organization were just chopping it up, having a blast, talking about winning games and some great stories. And then we went in there, and they ripped me apart.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I was the worst baseball player of all time. I was literally almost in tears at how bad they were making me feel. And then we walked out, and they were like, all right, man, like, can't wait to see you tomorrow. And it's just like, that's not how life works. No. Like, that might be how you want to win in the courtroom, but that's not like how you treat a human being on your team that you want to be in a good place. Yeah. I don't know. It's bad in there. It gets bad.
And for that reason, I don't see this Brewers Burnes situation working out in the long run, especially if he heard things similar to that and you saw and heard his reaction at spring training.
I now hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
Not because I don't want to see Corbin Burnes with the Brewers, because I want him to prove a point in a way. Like, I would have loved to re-sign with you guys, but you ruined this relationship, and now I'm going to go elsewhere and shove against you guys for the rest of my life. Period. End of story. Yeah, I got a little heated there.
No, you should.
Pissed me off while I was gone, you know? Spring training is officially happening,
yes,
Alex. It is. This is the first week. Everybody is there. Pitchers and catchers reported last week. Everybody is there now. I'm loving it. I'm loving all the social media posts everywhere. I feel like every team now has like a TikTok initiative because I'm on TikTok, and like every team is doing those like question things, and you're getting a up close look at these players. I'm just like, I'm in my happy place now. Baseball's happening, you know? So we need to do top 5 storylines.
We do. And spring training's like where everybody has fun. It feels like summer camp. Like I
need to ask you.
Yeah.
I feel like you have fun for like the first 2 weeks, and then it's like, we got to go, right?
No, it is.
I feel like from the players, it's like,
okay,
it's time to get to
the first
season.
2 weeks, the players, they're playing a lot of golf. But again, once the game starts, they're only playing, like your everyday starters are only playing till the 3rd, 4th inning, and then they're bouncing early because they got to catch their tee time somewhere. I love spring training. It is, again, it is so fun. It is such a playful energy vibe. Spirits are high because anything's possible. The season hasn't started yet. Everyone still has that hope and belief that, you know, might be them this year that wins the World Series. And you just really, it's really, really build those relationships, especially for me as a team reporter, being with the Angels for 10 years. You're with them all day, every day. You're usually in the same complex or hotel, so you see them at dinner, you see them in the morning, and you really do just build those relationships and stories. And everything's so close enough in Arizona where we were that you can go and see a couple different games a day, which is fun.
I'll never forget Ian Kinsler, who had a very long career and was recently on the show.
Yeah.
He just a lot of the players will talk once they get to a certain point, it's like, okay, let's go. And Kinsler had it down to a science. He was like, I forget the exact number, but he's like, I need 47 at bats.
Okay.
I need 47 at bats, live BP in a game, whatever it is, and then I'm ready to go. I want to get to Detroit or wherever he was going. So,
or Angels.
Spring training has started. We're underway. Top 5 storylines that you need to know with spring training underway, because it's not just a time for practice. There's also like some real questions going on here. And I'm going to start at number 5 with Jacob deGrom's health. For me, this is a huge thing because it already was when DeGrom left the Mets and ended up signing with the Rangers. He's now with this new team. And the question I believe you and I talked about when we heard that was like, that's a lot of money in years for a guy that hasn't proven he can stay on the field for a full season, for a half season.
Yeah.
And now we hear the first week of spring training, it's Jacob deGrom has tightness in his left side, and he's going to be pushed back a little bit.
Yeah. The good news is if it all goes well, he could participate in team workouts Sunday. But still, it's the first.
Yeah,
it's like
we're
literally
already having these.
The first week. It's the first conversation that we're having about DeGrom. And it was the biggest concern when Texas made this huge investment on a player that can't stay healthy throughout an entire season.
This is what I felt like it was with the Mets with Jacob deGrom. You hear there's one little tweak that he's dealing with and he's not quite ready. Next thing you know, he's not pitching for half the season because it just never comes full circle and he never comes back to full health, and just not what you want to hear.
No,
so let's keep an eye on it.
And tightness is a big deal for a pitcher. You need to stretch it out like every single pitch for 80 to 100 pitches a game. Like it's a big deal.
True. Maybe you should have stretched more before your first pitch. Maybe that's what it was. All right. Number 4. If you haven't seen the video or even the picture of Alex throwing out a first pitch, it is a must. It's great. All right. Number 4 storyline. The Atlanta Braves shortstop situation. Dansby Swanson, gone. He's a Chicago Cub. So what are the Braves going to do? A lot of signs are pointing to Vaughn Grissom being the guy. I know when they let him play a lot last year, and he got some good time in the big leagues last year, and it seemed like he was good. It seemed like he might be the future. But that immediately becomes very real when Dansby is out the door. And then it becomes, okay, we're all in on this guy. Where are they? They do have other options in camp. They have Orlando Arcia, who's been a starting shortstop in the big leagues for years. They have Danny Echeverria that's in camp on a non-roster invite. So is it going to be Vaughn Grissom? That's a big storyline for me. I know they want it to be him, but it doesn't always work out that way. He looked good last year, but this is spring training, and he's not one of those guys that can afford to go into spring training and hit 115, and next thing you know, he's still handed the starting job. No, there's other guys in camp. So the Atlanta Braves are in a really good place to succeed, but one of their big losses was Dansby Swanson. That was their big loss, and they obviously feel good about Vaughn Grissom, but can he be the guy, and will he be the guy? That's something I'm looking at in spring training.
Yeah, I just feel like when you let someone as big as Dansby Swanson go, who was such a core part of your team, I know the Braves have their deal is getting young guys and building them up and making it happen. But I do feel like, especially at the shortstop position, you need someone in place that you can depend on, that is going to be your guy after you let go of your previous number one guy.
Yep. So keep an eye out there.
Yeah.
Dansby, the hometown kid,
I know,
gone. Probably the Braves let him go because they didn't sign him young enough. So they're like, we can't do it.
You're
now.
over our age limit. You're over. They're Leonardo DiCaprio.
Whoa.
Well, he only dates like 25 and under. Is that bad? It's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Trending thing.
Yeah. Just
okay.
Flipping bats. You never know. Leo, who knew we'd bring him up? Number 3, Fernando Tatis. He will still be suspended for the first 20 games of the season, but he is in spring training, and he can participate in spring training. So a lot going on here that I'm looking out for. The Padres are good, really good, and they should be in the conversation to be a favorite in the National League. And they obviously have all these new guys. Juan Soto still fairly new, but he was there last year. Manny Machado is going to be great. And then you get Xander Bogaerts, and now you have Fernando Tatis, who will come back. But what kind of player is he going to be? I know Fernando Tatis is going to be great. Anybody thinking, well, he was taking steroids, performance enhancing, will he still be a good baseball player? Stop it. Yes. To me, the question is, has he grown up?
Yeah. Can he turn his career around after making some very poor off the field decisions? Because as you said, we know he's a great player. That was never the discussion. It's just that hasn't been the topic of his conversation when his name comes up over the last 2 years.
Yep. So has he grown up? The situation, there's multiple. Obviously, the performance enhancing drug situation, the motorcycle incident before the season started, in the off season. It's like, come on, man, you had the potential and have the potential to be the bright young star in the game of baseball, and you sign your $300 million deal. Like, have a little accountability and just be a little smarter. So has he grown up? Does he have the right people around him now? I think Nelson Cruz being there will be great for him. Mm-hmm. He's also changing a position, something I'll look for, because to be quite honest with you, when I have seen him in the outfield in games before he got suspended, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't great. I mean, he's obviously a freak athlete. I think he can be great out there, but they probably put him out there a little too quickly. So now he's out there in spring training playing right field. He talked about playing right field the other day. He said, I'm loving it. I feel like this is going to be a very big part of my game this year. Asked what he enjoys about the position, he said, freedom to be the type of athlete that I am. He said, whatever spot needs to be filled, he'll be there. That's progress, I think, in terms of being a little more mature.
That is. So can he play in the spring training games or just participate in the camp?
I believe so.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's great for the Padres. It's not like he's coming in blind. He's going to have, if he can.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm wrong there, somebody let me know in my ear. But I believe he's able to participate and play in spring training games because, like, I don't know, he's there practicing with the team. So I don't know. Yeah. I guess we'll hear in a second. They think I'm right. Great. So cool. I think he'll be in spring training games. Number 2, Kodai Senga and the New York Mets. We believe from what we've seen that he's going to be a stud. We believe from what we've seen in Japan, in the WBC last time, that this guy's going to be really good. But all that changes when you get to big league camp and you're using Major League Baseballs, and you're facing Francisco Lindor in camp and all of these studs in Major League Baseball and spring training games. So, yeah, the Mets have a great top 2 in the rotation. Probably the best top 2 in baseball, which, by the way, look at this shirt. I just got this. How cool is this?
What's it say? Who is it?
It's it says Amazing Aces. And
cool.
It's Justin and Max as like ace cards. Pretty cool.
That's rad.
Those are the top 2 in the rotation. But if you can get Kodai Senga to be what we believe he can be, I mean, the sky is the limit. So for me, when the Mets start playing games, I'm going to be locked in on his starts because from all accounts, he's going to be nasty. How does it translate to facing major league hitters? Well, we'll see. He's faced Pete Alonso in spring training, and he had some pretty high remarks to say about him. Pete Alonso said that of Kodai Senga's ghost forkball today, he faced it for the first time. He struck out twice, giving Senga big props for the unique pitch. Senga's response to that was perfect. So players have seen it now, and they're saying it's very unique. They haven't seen anything like it, and it's really good.
The one thing that we all have to remember is that there will be an adjustment. This is a huge culture shock coming to a different country, speaking a different language. Even the game is a little different. Now, I remember watching this with Shohei Ohtani. Huge adjustment period in spring training. They eventually catch up quick. And then the other thing, Billy Epler, their GM, was the Angels GM when he brought Shohei Ohtani over. And then now with Kodai Senga. So he's been through it before. So he understands the process. I think that will help him a little. But he even said his biggest adjustment is going to be the steeper grade of the MLB mound. So everything from the language, the culture, the food, even the game is going to be an adjustment. So just keep that in mind, that it is going to take time. It's not going to be right out of the gates. If it is, congratulations, that's awesome. But this is new. He's a great player, but he's coming to a different country, a little different game, way different lifestyle.
I mean, just imagine a pitcher. The baseball is literally a different size from it was in Japan. When I went over and threw my perfect first pitch at 103 miles an hour, I believe it was an adjustment for me. You know, I really had to warm up and make sure I was in a good place with that baseball because it's definitely a big difference. So Kodai Senga and how he will do in spring training with the Mets for me is number 2, which leaves my number 1 storyline to look out for is the New York Yankees question marks.
Yeah.
Coming into spring training, I felt like there was really only one, but I feel like I know what the Yankees are going to do at shortstop. They're probably going to start with IKF and go from there. I'm excited to see Anthony Volpe as one of the top prospects in the game of baseball there, but the shortstop position, are these young guys? Is Cabrera, Peraza, Volpe, how are they going to do in spring training? I'm excited to see that, but I'll tell you, Alex, this pitching rotation has quickly become a question mark for them. It seemed to be one of the top 3 rotations in the game of baseball. Now we hear Nestor Cortez out of the WBC because of a little tweak, and he's apparently hoping to be okay and hoping to be good to go by the time the season starts, but that's not something you want to hear. And then Frankie Montas might not pitch this year.
I mean, Boone did say that Montas could possibly return for the second half of the season, but he is getting surgery. He's getting shoulder surgery.
Right.
So that's going to take some time, especially when you're a pitcher. Way more time.
So we'll chalk it up to a question mark.
Oh, lots of questions.
Which is what I believe needs to be answered for the Yankees in spring training. Who's going to be your 5 guy? Is Nestor going to be okay? How's Anthony Volpe look? How's Cabrera and Peraza look? Because they looked pretty good when they were up in the big leagues last year. How's Isaiah Kiner-Falefa look? So Yankees having some question marks, not all bad, some good question marks, some bad question marks. But to me, the New York Yankees, it's not all set. They got some stuff to figure out, and will they and how will they do that throughout spring training is my number 1 spring training storyline. But what better way to talk about that than to bring on friend of the pod before, Alex, we talked to her during the World Series, I believe it was. Disha Thosar has been all over, been to Mets camp, been to Yankees camp, and my top 2 storylines were Mets and Yankees stuff. So let's bring on Disha now. So where are you right now? Which camp are you at?
I'm in Tampa. I'm in one of these dark rooms by myself at the Yankees complex. Actually, they just wrapped up, so it's been kind of a longer day here. But the Yankees seem to be sort of getting a slower start to spring training compared to Mets. It's not as structured and all of that. I think that a lot of that has to do with Buck Showalter running the show at Mets, whereas here it's more of the same guys, not as much of a newer team. So there certainly are some differences already in both camps.
I am very, very familiar with that complex. They were in the Florida State League when I was, and I felt like we were playing the Yankees every other day. So I've been in that stadium a million times. So let's start with the Yankees. I don't know if you were on yet when I was going through my storylines for the Yankees this year and my question marks, but let's start with the pitching. And I guess first off, the less worrisome of the pitching news they've gotten so far is Nestor Cortez. How is he doing? Is he looking okay? Will he be good to go?
Yeah, Nestor Cortez is really, really not worried about this injury. He is definitely minimizing it, as is Yankees manager Aaron Boone. I think personally, time will tell. I'm always a little skeptical about, especially spring injuries after dealing with years of Jacob deGrom saying that it's really no big deal and it turning into something else entirely. So I think this is more of a we'll see situation, but there's definitely not as much concern coming from a Nestor Cortez as there is for a guy like Frankie Montas, who is about to have surgery.
So with the Frankie Montas situation, for me, when I heard that, my first thought goes to, well, that's not good. And my second thought goes to, why now? Why have they waited all this time? Did they really not know that he needed surgery? I mean, what took so long?
Yeah, exactly. And those are answers that the Yankees are honestly refraining from giving up so far. It's a huge question mark, but just thinking about it, of course, it has to do with trying not to get that surgery. They were putting it off as long as possible, knowing the awful media storm also that this would cause, and a lot of that already negative attention coming to the rotation and the question marks surrounding that. Of course, the Yankees wanted to avoid this topic as long as possible. But again, it is really a troubling sign that this was not addressed earlier. And remember, when Montes joined the Yankees at the trade deadline, he was already coming with an injury. So this is really, every way you look at it, until the Yankees speak more on it, a failure on the Yankees' part. Everything that led up to this surgery, and really from the moment that they traded for him.
Is there a worry that this could be a full season thing, or do they truly believe that they can have him back at some point in the second half?
It's hard to say. I think they truly want to believe that they'll get him back in the second half. And really, it'll all depend on his rehab and his progress. And every situation there is certainly different with every pitcher. Personally, I would be surprised if he pitched this year. I think it really would take a need from the rotation.
Shoulders
to push
are scary too.
Exactly. And I think at that point, they might just have to turn their attention elsewhere. If we're talking at the trade deadline, they might get better arms from that scenario rather than hoping for a late season bounce back from Montes, who really has barely had any success at all with this new team.
As just hearing about injuries with pitchers, you would much rather hear elbow than shoulder. And I just, every time I hear it's a shoulder, I worry with a pitcher, and I hope he's back pitching this year at some point, but I guess nobody knows, and time will tell there. Disha, for me, another question mark for the Yankees. For me, it might not be for them, but is the shortstop position. And it's a question mark almost in a good way. Like, okay, you have your option. You have IKF that could play there. You have Cabrera that came up and did well. And then you have one of the best prospects in the game of baseball, in my opinion, who I'm really excited about, in Anthony Volpe. So what's going on with the Yankees at the shortstop position in spring training?
Yeah, and what the message that the Yankees are pushing out so far is throwing out all of those three guys that you mentioned, right? It's going to be a mix of IKF. They're saying a little of Cabrera, a little of Volpe during camp. And these three are sort of competing for that position. Personally, I think we're going to see IKF starting at shortstop on opening day. It would have to be just a lot of impressiveness coming from those other two guys in camp to sort of alter that decision. But certainly we're going to see that trio having a mix at shortstop during the year. And I think Volpe, of course, has that ceiling, that sort of unknown talent, and it gets fans are really excited about him. So it would be nice if he could excel at that position. But then again, like you said, it's really not a bad problem, because IKF also has a lot to prove, and fans certainly would not be angry if he bounced back and had a better season that he had last year. So really, it's a little unknown at shortstop, but it's not exactly a bad problem.
On the other side of the state, I guess, really, Port St. Lucie, you were there just the other day at the Mets camp. Did you say hi to Justin? Did you talk to Justin there?
Yeah, we said hi quickly, but he wasn't really around and I wasn't there for long. So there's definitely some more work to be done there, but it's good. I really like the way that he's settling into this new team. I remember with Scherzer coming in to the Mets last year, and there's a lot of these awkward moments of we don't really know a lot of guys, but already he's made himself really available and present and bringing sort of this positive energy, and it's definitely been good to see.
Well, he just turned the big 4-0 on Monday, 40 years old. I asked him how it felt, and he said, literally like all the other ones. I'm still in the same routine, spring training. I feel great. It's just like the other 19 years have felt. So I think he's doing good down there. But I read something you put together, and I'd like you to explain a little bit about this, where Steve Cohen made himself available to the media, and you said in a 20-minute conversation, he mentioned the fans 7 times. What was that like, and what did you mean by that?
Yeah, so he did. I mean, it was constantly sort of, when you ask Steve Cohen, what is he doing here? What's his long-term vision? All these questions that come especially from not just the richest owner in baseball, but he's also the most fascinating. And I found it interesting that this is really important to him. What drives him is the Mets fan base. And of course, a lot of that has to do with Steve Cohen being a fan of the Mets himself since he was a child, since he even knew what baseball was. So I think that that's important here, because he grew up being that fan of the same team that he is now owning, he kind of knows what gets Mets fans ticking. And what he's bringing now that other owners are not is this connection, not just to fans, but to players. He really brings this same energy throughout camp, no matter who he's talking to. It can be shaking players' hands, taking selfie with fans. I really like that fans are already showing up to camp with his face on their shirts and calling him Uncle Steve. And he really ultimately comes off as an ally to the Mets fan base, rather than what we see a lot in professional sports of sort of hating on the player and they're the bad guy here. And really, it all starts from top down at Mets camp, and he's certainly setting the tone in that way of his commitment to the Mets fan base.
Have you been to a Mets spring training over the last couple of years or no? Before this year?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So Steve said the vibe is different this year. Is that just something he's saying, or can you feel that too?
I can feel it too. I think this was also a direct shot at Jacob deGrom, was how I interpreted it. Ooh, because
interesting.
That incredible vibes quote was related to a question about a Jacob deGrom and that offer, and he was sort of like, listen, I don't want to talk about that, but the vibes are great here. So, and of course, Mets fans are very familiar with deGrom's grouchiness, and that was sort of part of who he is as a player, especially at the Mets. So taking that personality out of the clubhouse has made a difference, and to me, definitely, because I've spent so much time with the team and I've seen what that can do to a clubhouse. But I think it was interesting that Steve Cohen mentioned it too. So he's bringing in players like your brother, Justin Verlander, and of course, all the other guys he added have that same just culture, the positivity. I think it really makes a difference, not just from players in the clubhouse, but also sort of everyone else that he's surrounding himself with.
Last one for you. Kodai Senga. Supposed to be really good. Question marks obviously always will come about when you have a guy transitioning from Japan to America, or vice versa, because it's a different game and it's a different literal baseball. So how is Kodai Senga doing? How is he doing talking to the media? How's he doing pitching on the mound? Did you get to talk to him? Just put me in that world and let me know how he's doing down there.
Yeah, the Kodai Senga I mean, he's so hilarious and so friendly too, and really welcoming. I always think about how hard it must be for him to not just transition to a new team completely, but a new culture, new food, new languages. Even I liked what Pete Alonso said, that he wants to teach Senga not just the good words, but the bad words in English too. And that's sort of how I think the clubhouse is even approaching it. It's a very welcoming clubhouse, and I think with that respect, he's going to fit right in. And he does speak a little English. He's really not just trying, but trying to bring that part of his language barrier to the forefront. If you ask him a question in English, he does have his interpreter right there next to him in case he needs some words filled in here or there. But I've especially liked when he answers in English, and that not just connects, of course, with the fan base, but it shows that this guy is trying to really make an effort here to just fit right in to not just, of course, the Mets, but in New York. It's so tough as a new player to cross that boundary and immediately become a fan favorite. And I can already see that Senga is developing sort of into that fan favorite.
I know Pete said he wants to teach him the good words as well, but as a guy that shared a locker room with about 50% other guys that did not speak the same language, I assure you it's mostly just the bad words being relayed back and forth to each other. Disha, thank you so much for joining me. Before you go, what's next? I just read the Steve Cohen article. Everybody can follow her on Twitter at Disha Thosar. What's coming out next for you? What are you working on?
Oh, I just filed it, so good timing of why Aaron Judge is not playing in the World Baseball Classic. Because notice, of course, there are so many of baseball's biggest stars playing for Team USA, especially with Mike Trout joining this year. So it was interesting to me and a little obvious, too, of why he wouldn't want to. But yeah, that is what's coming out next, and you can catch it on foxsports.com.
Can we get a sneak peek here? What's one reason?
Sure. Yeah. One of the reasons was that he just feels a little like the wild offseason combined with his last year, what happened with the 62 home runs was a lot. And so he wants to have sort of a relaxing spring, as well as his bigger reason is that he wants to spend time as the captain, of course, the newest Yankees captain. Teaching and kind of getting to know the younger prospects, showing them what they do here. Judge has been described as like sort of a mother hen around Yankees camp in that way of welcoming everyone. So he just wants to sort of continue doing exactly that, where the WBC would take him away from doing that.
That makes a lot of sense, really. So I'll go read that article. Everybody should go read it. Disha is great. She's often on the show. So Disha, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me on, guys.
Of course. So, yeah. The DeGrom
that was the one thing that like stood out to me, because culture in a clubhouse, in a locker room, can either make or break a team. And you usually see championship teams. I've been around across all different sports, baseball, football, soccer, hockey. Championship teams have this special unconditional support bond in the locker room and clubhouse where everybody has to buy in and everybody has to believe in one another and have this kind of uplifting, we can do this, let's do whatever it takes attitude. And just hearing Disha explain the Mets clubhouse, it was kind of the missing piece of what we needed to hear. If like we see that they have the roster, they got the guys, they're spending the money, they got the owner, they got the GM. The vibe is there. The locker room camaraderie and the energy is there. That's huge. That's huge.
That is huge.
It's exciting.
Yeah, that was great. WBC, Aaron Judge, her article there. We knew he wasn't going to play, but we didn't exactly know why. So glad she said that. We knew DeGrom was never scheduled to play, but a little WBC update. Not the best update in the world.
Yeah.
Two guys that were supposed to play, Clayton Kershaw and Nestor Cortez, are not pitching for Team USA in the WBC. And I'm gonna be honest, Alex. I know. I am worried.
I know, because that was your one big concern for Team USA was the pitching. They just lost a couple of their top guys.
I mean, those were those are their. I mean, Kershaw and Nestor. I know So now the rotation, there's still good arms. Let's not get carried away. But it just, the gap with the pitching between the Dominican and Team Japan and their pitching staff and Team USA's just got further apart. So I might have to, I know we're going to do a big WBC show probably right around when it starts. We're going hard there. Yeah. But I might have to change who I have winning it all.
Well, can we see? I think we might have a graphic of who USA's starting pitchers are right now. Oh. So look at that. What do you think?
I think that leaves a lot of room for.
Do you want to name those off for our
we got
listening audience?
Adam Wainwright, Brady Singer, Miles Michaelis, Nick Martinez, Lance Lynn, and that's 1 through 5, but there's also Merrill Kelly and Kyle Freeland. So look, I've been on this page the whole time. I feel like when people talk about Team USA in this tournament, they say, well, Team Dominican is way better because of their pitching. And I do agree the roster is better, but you mean to tell me that any one of these good big league pitchers can't go out and like shut down another lineup? Of course they can. Mm-hmm. So, and then you look at the Team USA bullpen, that's incredible. I mean, Devin Williams and Ryan Presley as an 8-9 in the bullpen is insane. So I'm not quite on the same wave of like Team USA's pitching is terrible. It's a huge weakness. It's obviously not as good as the DR, but it's fine. And is it enough to win it all? Well, that just got a little more complicated.
But they do have one of the best lineups and batting order. And if they give their pitching staff a big enough cushion, which they can, they got a lot of power in that lineup, I think they'll be fine. My
one worry is Team USA against the Dominican.
Yeah.
And if Sandy Alcantara lines up on pace to face Team USA, he can shut down the Team USA lineup. That is the best lineup maybe ever. And there's nobody on this list right here, 1 through 7, that I look at and say, well, that guy can shut down Rafael Devers and that insane lineup.
But remember, we're still kind of in the spring training time window, so they're not going to go super deep.
Right, so Sandy's not going to throw 9 innings.
No, it's what, like three or 4 innings maybe at that point?
If they face each other, it would be later in the tournament. So I could see him going 4.
I wouldn't push it. Yeah, not before the
season. But that would be right before the season. So he's going to have to get built up.
Yeah.
So that could be a world in which we see 4, and if he can keep his pitch count down, maybe 5 innings, because that might be his last start before opening day. Maybe it'll probably be around the 20th if they face each other of March.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But it just gets a lot more complicated and something you don't want to hear. I want to see Clayton Kershaw pitch for his country, like that'd be so cool.
But you do have to protect yourself. And you have to protect your body, your livelihood. And as it all came out that it happened over some insurance premium issue with Kershaw. He's healthy.
Yeah.
It's not because he can't pitch. You got to protect yourself as an athlete, especially at this point in the season. And someone like Kershaw, who has dealt with a lot of injury throughout his career and has had so much previous issues with injury.
Yeah.
So it's understandable from his side. But this is also growing pains, not for... I mean, the WBC isn't brand new, but it's still in the early stages of being a massive worldwide tournament. And these are some of the issues that you face and growing pains that you face and things that you'll need to learn for the next tournament. You got to take care of your players. If you want these major league players to compete and participate and leave spring training, you got to take care of them close to how they're taken care of in Major League Baseball.
So 2 very different reasons for these guys not participating. Both of them very upset that they're not able to. Nestor Cortez with the little tweak injury to his hamstring won't be able to participate. And Clayton Kershaw, as Alex mentioned, the insurance issue, if you will. But you look at it and it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
He couldn't get his salary insured if he were to get hurt in the WBC. Meaning if he got hurt in WBC, he goes from making millions and millions to maybe nothing.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Do you blame him?
No.
And he was pretty emotional talking about it, but I mean, it's completely understandable. So big topic there, Kershaw and Nestor out of the WBC. It is now bat giveaway time.
Ooh.
Bam, 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 bam.
Bow.
The winner of the last bat giveaway was Andrew Patterson. So congratulations to him for sending in that email. The bat is on the way. If not on the way, it will be there soon. But we have another one to give away. I believe there are 3 more to still give away, meaning I have a new email address to give to you all to send in a bat, and I will read that off right now. The email is wbcfanatic37@gmail.com. That is wbcfanatic@gmail.com. I feel like I'm like a auctioneer, you know? Like,
yeah, kind of.
That is, yeah.
You are. You're giving away a bat.
Not speaking as fast, but yeah, that's true. So, again, what you need to do, you're listening now. That's a great start. Take a screenshot that you are subscribed to the podcast. Wherever you listen, take a screenshot. If you're on Apple, it's that little plus up in the top right. Just take a screenshot that you're subscribed. Send that screenshot to the email wbcfanatic37@gmail.com, and you could win. Is it up here? I don't think it's up here right now. But they're really, really cool. It's a custom 1 of 6 bat. It says Flippin' Bats on it. It's an actual really nice baseball bat. It's 34 inches. I think it's 34-30. Like, it really is sick. So congratulations to Andrew. Congratulations to our previous winners. And good luck to everybody else along the way.
You know what time it is?
What time is it?
Well, we've made our way around the infield. Last show, we made our way in the outfield. It is time for our catcher tiers.
The outfield was tough.
That was tough.
Good
there was
Lord.
a lot. I know. We could have probably broken it up to left field, center field, right field, but we made the decision to just like, here you go, here they all are.
Yeah.
But now let's go behind the plate.
All right.
Let's talk about the catchers, and we're going to start with elite. Who you got in the elite tier?
I have one.
Just one.
One elite catcher. And his name is
uh-huh.
JT Realmuto. He's
Yep.
the best catcher in the game. He is. And he has been for a few years now. He does it all. He's great offensively. He is unbelievable defensively. He throws out more guys than anybody else. I mean, he is the full package. He's also fast. Remember in the playoffs last year, we saw his inside the park home run? I'm sure he sent a nice little gift to Ronald Acuna there in right field for that. But he's fast. He steals bases. He's great on offense. He's great on defense. He is the definition of the full package as a catcher. And when I think catchers, he's one of one. And that's why I have him in the elite category on his own as the only elite catcher in the game of baseball.
Yeah, he was so impressive in the postseason. We got a front row seat to it, too.
So good.
The NLCS and the World Series, very impressed.
Yep.
He does it all. All right, let's move on to almost elite. Just 2 guys.
Almost elite, there are only 2. Adley Rutschman and Will Smith. I love Adley. I am all in on the Adley Rutschman hype train, and I was before he got called up to the big leagues. And then he finally did last year, and he did not disappoint. In fact, as a guy with as much hype as he had since the day he got drafted, to come up and to be as good as he was as a rookie for the Orioles, and legitimately, you can look at the Orioles season last year and point to a day where their season turned around and they became great and they put themselves in playoff contention, and it was the day that Adley Rutschman came up. And the pitchers speak so highly of him. Offensively, we see how good he is. Adley is on the rise, and I would bet my bottom dollar that he's in the elite category next year.
That's impressive.
It is.
Your face also just like lit up as you said his name, which you can tell means like you're excited. There's a lot of potential for this guy, and we all saw it. We all got a front row seat to it.
I really like this was the first time he went out to catch. If you're watching, you can kind of see. There was a video of him that when he walked out to home plate, he walked out of the dugout in his catcher's equipment, took off his mask, and just looked around and smiled. And it was so, I mean, it was just so cool. And to see the way he went about his first year in the majors was awesome. And I'm a really big fan of, as a guy that loves the game and wants to grow the game of baseball, what Adley Rutschman does on the field and off the field. He has a great presence on social media. He's on TikTok. He's on Instagram. He's doing it all. I think that's what the game needs. More guys like that. Julio's doing. There's a lot of these younger guys that are very active, and I think that's important when it comes to the long-term success and growth of the game that has been my entire life. So, yeah, maybe that's why my face lit up. I don't know.
I mean, I just got chills watching this video because it does. It means so much. It's a moment that you spend your entire life working towards, and then you finally get there. And then to have a rookie season like he did is it's what you dream of.
Yep, absolutely. Will Smith is the other name here. Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, we've all seen this firsthand in the playoffs. And for instance, the Dodgers over the last couple of years have had the best lineup in baseball. It's been insane. And then you'd fast forward to the playoffs, and they have Will Smith hitting fourth. It's like, what? Will Smith is batting fourth and fifth in this lineup? And then you watch him do damage in the playoffs, and it's like, yeah, you're dang right he's hitting fourth or fifth. And guess what? He's a catcher as well. He had 260 last year with 24 homers, 87 RBIs. So Will Smith is absolutely one of the best catchers in the game. And if it weren't for, I just think there's a good little gap between JT Realmuto and the rest. But there's what?
I was going to say, what makes him not elite? Because Will Smith definitely, if there's going to be someone joining the elite category, it's Will Smith.
Well, he's not as good as JT Realmuto. So I didn't feel like putting them in the same category was right. And I didn't feel like JT Realmuto was worthy of the Trout treatment where I gave Trout his own.
Okay. In a league of his own. You thought he was, okay.
Trout's in a league of Trout is.
Yeah. Oh, I know that.
And JT Realmuto is as a catcher. I do believe there's a good little gap. So I put Adley and Will Smith in that category that's almost elite. And you'll be shocked to hear that two of the producers on the show that are Dodgers fans disagree. Oh, I would have never guessed that. Just told me in my ear. Yep. Let's where are we going next? What's the next category?
We are going to really good, and we've got 10 guys in really good.
This is where it gets juicy. We got really good and then pretty solid next. I'll name them off first, then we'll go through them. Sean Murphy, new Braves acquisition. Cal Raleigh. I think that's a name that a lot of people might not know yet that you need to. Big Dumper.
I feel like everyone really got to know that name towards the end of the regular season.
I hope so.
Last year.
Led catchers in home runs last year. Salvi Perez, kind of on the downside, the back end of his career, very much so on the back end of his career, but still very productive. And friend of the podcast, Salvador Perez. Travis d'Arnaud, Alejandro Kirk, Wilson Contreras, Jose Trevino, William Contreras, MJ Melendez, and Jonah Heim of the Texas Rangers are all the names that I have in this really good category. Alejandro Kirk, obviously, maybe not obviously, first time All-Star last year, voted in by the fans, got a ton of votes. Good for him there. Wilson Contreras, new St. Louis Cardinal. That's big. Been a Cub his entire life and was part of that core. Last guy of the core to be moved, and he has now moved to the St. Louis Cardinals. Jose Trevino, first-time All-Star last year with the New York Yankees. William Contreras on the move, now with the Brewers. How did he end up on the Brewers? It was the craziest trade of all time, but he is there. MJ Melendez, the future for the Kansas City Royals at the catcher position. They have two catchers in this category, but he can also play third base. He can play outfield. He's very versatile. He's really good. And Jonah Heim with the Rangers is the future at their catcher position, I believe, as well. So a lot of names in here.
Yeah.
Sean Murphy, probably the biggest one that I really want to talk about because that was the Braves' big move this offseason, was trading for him. And he's one of the bright young stars in the game at the catcher position, which isn't easy to come by. A catcher that can be really good defensively and can also put up numbers offensively. He did well last year. 250, 18 homers, 66 RBIs out of the catcher position. You will take that absolutely. So big acquisition there. And you mentioned Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
You're right. Big Dumper. People learn the name. He's got the nickname Big Dumper because he has a big butt. That's what that was.
So funny. But he also had really big moments. He had really big moments at the end of the season.
I like Big Dumper more than big moments.
All right. Yeah.
But you're right.
Yeah.
He hit that big home run that clinched the playoffs for them. Basically, he ended in a way.
Probably one of the cooler recent moments in Seattle baseball history, watching that and seeing the whole stadium erupt.
So when you look at his numbers last year, 211, 27 homers, 63 RBIs, you think, what? 211? Cal Raleigh got off to an abysmal start last year. One of those starts that you can't really climb out of average-wise. So I don't look at that number and say, well, Cal Raleigh's never going to hit for like 211 is terrible. No. He just got out to a start that he couldn't recover from. They sent him down. He came back up, and he was great. Very productive. 27 home runs out of the catcher's spot. I'm very excited for the future and what Cal Raleigh has to hold. And those are my really good catchers.
All right. Let's move on to pretty solid 11 guys in this category.
Pretty solid. Run through them real quick here. We got Martin Maldonado, Eric Haas, Christian Vasquez, Danny Jansen, Carson Kelly, Tyler Stevenson, Joey Bart, Austin Nola, Nick Fortes, and Kybert Ruiz. Martin Maldonado is the guy here for me that I really need to talk about because I really thought about this.
Okay, good, because I'm confused as to why you don't have him in really good.
There is an argument to have Martin Maldonado in any category from almost elite to the rest. He could be anywhere. And he's
kind of depending on what season you're looking at, what you value.
Yeah. And if Martin Maldonado were not in the Houston Astros lineup, I don't think if Martin Maldonado goes to a few other teams that he's going to start for them. The Astros lineup is so deep and so good that you don't mind the lack of offensive production that he brings, which is it's not good. He's not good offensively, but he's here and needed to be talked about because what he does with the pitching staff, what he does behind the plate is some of the best in baseball. It's unbelievable. So when I look at a catcher, I don't just want to look at offensive numbers, but we can't deny the offensive numbers that they're not good. In fact, it's pretty bad. But he had some clutch hits in the playoffs last year. He did. But the reason he's here and I believe needed some acknowledgement is because everybody loves throwing to him. He's great. He transformed a pitching staff. And there is a lot of value in that. There really is a lot of value in that. But I really was kind of at a conundrum of where to put him.
Is that not the most important thing, though, is to be able to connect and transform a pitching staff? Not to mention, World Series champ, but he led the American League in both putouts and assists as a catcher, finished in top 5 in AL and caught stealing in the 3rd straight season. So
you're right.
He is probably one of the best offensively. He is, the numbers show, at his position, and helping the guy on the mound have his best performance.
I was at a very big conundrum with this, and you're right. And for the first time in the history of these tiers, I'm going to change this.
Woo!
When we put out the graphic, I want when the graphic goes out on social,
she did it.
You're right.
Thank you.
And that's why he was even here to begin with, because at the catcher position, it's not offensive value. That's the only thing you have to take into consideration. So, yeah, I was all over the map here. So, yeah, you're right. We'll bump him up.
So really good?
He's really good.
All right.
And that all comes from his defensive.
All defense.
It's all defense.
Well, and his connection with the pitcher.
Well, yeah. His behind the plate prowess.
Yes.
So, the other names on here, Eric Haas with the Detroit Tigers appears to be like he could be a staple for the Tigers in the future. He looks to be pretty good. Christian Vasquez has been all over the place in the last few years. Red Sox, then to the Astros, won a World Series there, now with the Minnesota Twins. Danny Jansen, pretty solid. Carson Kelly and the Arizona Diamondbacks, I think hasn't quite lived up to the hype. Tyler Stevenson, Joey Bart. He's here and pretty solid. And that's a disappointment. Joey Bart was tabbed to be the future and the replacement of Buster Posey, right? And that's a tough title to have thrown at you. Buster Posey was there for a long, long time in San Francisco, won a bunch of championships. Joey Bart, drafted high, catcher, comparison to Buster Posey. I mean, it's all there. He wasn't good. He wasn't good last year. 215, 11 homers, 25 RBIs. I need to see a big step forward from Joey Bart, and that is possible. We could see that, but last year wasn't great. It was just pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Austin Nola, who, if the Padres could take back that trade, sending Andres Munoz and Ty France to the Mariners for Austin Nola, they would. But he's decent. Nick Fortes and Kyber Ruiz, who is a big pickup for the Nationals. So we'll see. Those are all the names there. And that rounds out my catcher tiers. All of the rest are in a category aptly named the rest.
The rest.
That's it.
I'm just happy I got one moved up.
You did.
I did.
You did.
Thank you.
I was on the fence, and you pushed me.
Boom.
You pushed me over.
Got it.
From these catchers that are all very good and major leaguers and are doing big things too, to another something that has become fairly important to me. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, you might not know what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna explain it here, and I'm gonna do my best here to explain this. But there is a catcher from Uganda named Dennis Kasumba, who is one of the hardest workers I have ever seen. And he's putting all of his work on social media. You see him, there's a few clips that have gone viral of him catching and doing catcher drills in the rain in Uganda. And he has a 1.89 pop time, which is better than MLB average, by the way. He puts in work. We see him. There's videos of him hitting off of a makeshift tee that is made out of dirt, basically. So I've almost made it my mission to help him. He reached out to me on Twitter and direct messages, just saying thank you for sharing what my work. Sometimes if there's anything more you could ever do. Or basically, if there's anything more you could sharing his videos, he's very appreciative. And I kind of I want to help this guy.
Yeah.
I have a platform now on social media that, it's 100 and some thousand people could see it. And there's a lot of college coaches and a lot of coaches and professional baseball people that follow me. So I sent out a tweet the other day with a screenshot from myself and him saying, this guy is the real deal, and here's my exact tweet. I wanted to spread awareness. My man, his Twitter handle is KasumbaDennis4, is one step closer to accomplishing his dream of playing Major League Baseball. He is a catcher from Uganda and has a 1.89 pop time. He is a stud. If any colleges or coaches see this, reach out to him or to me to pass along. And I attached a video below. His direct message to me was, "Good day, sir. Hope all is well. I would like to share some good news with you. I got possible links to the embassy where someone inside is willing to help me get my visa. But my main challenge is getting the invitation from any college now. Is it possible to help get for me a college willing to send me the invitation letter I can present at the embassy? Thanks so much." I sent out that tweet, and my DMs it's been pretty cool, the response that it's getting.
That's awesome. I did a deep dive on your whole situation and tweets on this.
Oh, you did?
Yesterday.
Cool.
Yeah. And just seeing people's responses. This is where social media does some great work sometimes, where you can bring awareness and help a human out who might not have the same access that we all have. What is his exact goal here? Like, next step, try to get signed by a college or get into a college to then play college baseball? Would that be the next step?
That's his next step.
Okay.
And his goal, as he's been very vocal of,
Yeah.
is he wants to be the first Major League catcher from Uganda.
Yes.
And if we're being realistic about the situation, the next step would be like a smaller junior college.
Yeah.
Which would be awesome. Like, I'm not expecting like LSU to be like, yes, you get a scholarship. No, there's real education things that need to happen here. So from the coaches that have reached out to me, a lot of the questions are about age and his education level, and it's high enough for him to come to the U.S., which he told me, which is great. So I think there's some real interest here from community colleges, multiple, and they've been honest with me saying it's not going to be easy, but we are going to try our best because we love him, we love his work ethic, and he's the kind of guy that we want to have around, which is just really, really cool.
Great work.
Thanks. I feel like it's
That's
just
awesome.
the beginning, but I'm trying.
It's all you can do.
Yeah. So
Here's little guardian angel right now.
he has a big fan in myself and hopefully many others along this journey. So, yeah, hope maybe one day he'll be in those catcher tiers.
That'd be cool.
All right. You know what time it is?
Your favorite game in the world?
Name that team. Where Alex will give me, I think we're still doing infield.
Yeah, we're still doing,
Still infield.
Catcher,
I
first
will
base,
get
second base, shortstop.
catcher, first baseman, second baseman, third base, and shortstop where they were drafted out of. Either the high school in the state or the college they were drafted out of or the country that they came over from. So, and I will have to try and guess which team this infield belongs to. So it's not easy, but I've been pretty good so far.
You've been very good. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's
I'm
get
ready.
started.
Okay.
Team number 1. Catcher out of Panama. First base out of Mexico. Second base out of Maryland. Shortstop, Dominican Republic. And third base out of Cuba. Name that team.
As of right now, I have no idea.
Oh, I thought you knew. The
No.
look on your face was like, oh,
No,
yeah, I got
no,
this.
I don't know.
read that wrong.
Panama, I don't know. Mexico, there's only a few options. My giveaway here was probably Maryland, and I don't know it. Dominican at shortstop does me no good at all. I mean, that could be. Okay, Cuba third base, though. I'm gonna... No. Cuba third baseman.
30 seconds.
I believe Yohan Moncada is Cuban. I'm going to shot in the dark guess the White Sox. No?
The Rays.
The Rays?
Yeah.
The double buzzer
Yeah.
here. That was aggressive. Okay. Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, that makes...
Yeah. Now that you know, once you know, you're like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
duh.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right.
We can turn things around.
0 for 1.
Ready?
Yep.
Team number 2. Catcher out of Puerto Rico.
Oh, my God.
First baseman out of Puerto Rico. Second baseman out of Dominican Republic. Shortstop also out of Puerto Rico. And third baseman, high school out of California. Name that team. You got this.
Do I?
I believe in you.
Do I have this? A lot of Puerto Rico here. California high school guy at third. We got... No. This is tough.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay. So, high school, third base, California. Who could that be? I'm gonna... No, it's not that. No!
Yeah.
I don't know it.
Come on, 10
Dude, I
seconds.
got
Give
10
something.
seconds. Okay. Puerto Rico all over the field.
Name it. 2, 1. Spit it out.
I don't know.
Twins.
Buzzer.
It is.
Twins.
Twins.
Man, these are tough.
I know.
Oh, man.
It's okay.
It's not okay. I
It's
need
gonna
to
be
do better.
okay.
This is the toughest one, yeah.
Well, maybe you'll get the last one.
Bring it on.
Okay. Team number 3.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Catcher at a University of North Carolina. First base at Auburn. Second base out of Venezuela. Shortstop, Westchester University of Pennsylvania. And third base out of Dominican Republic. Name that team.
Catcher, North Carolina. First base, Auburn. I need to get this. Catcher, UNC. God, I wish it was South Carolina. My South Carolina knowledge is off the
Okay,
charts.
keep going. Keep going.
First base, Auburn. Second base, Venezuela. Westchester University of Pennsylvania? What?
30 seconds.
Where did... I don't think Joey Bart didn't go to North Carolina, did he? I don't think so.
Try not to react.
I'm going to guess... No, that's not right. That's not right.
5 seconds. 3, 2.
Is it the Giants?
No, it's Marlins.
Marlins?
Yeah.
Stop with the double buzzer.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
It's okay.
0 for 3. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Since we've started this, name
Yeah.
that player or name that team. This is my worst week.
It was definitely a fail.
Yeah.
You definitely flunked today, but that's okay. You've gotten A's a lot of other weeks. You're average. You're just like, you're balancing out the average.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the positive today.
Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of them.
You tried.
Not a lot of.
You did your best.
I did try my best. Okay, that was tough.
Yeah.
That's probably close to the end of infield. I think we've done most of it. So we're probably going to transition to outfield here pretty soon. Thank God.
It's okay.
That was getting tough.
Went out with a bang.
All right. Name that team in the books. 0 for 3 today. Good luck to all the TikTok people that claim they know every single one. Good luck. Good luck. All right. Extra innings. This is kind of a cool story.
It is.
Manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, John Schneider, in a restaurant the other night, and somebody started choking, and he went and saved their life. I mean, just a do-it-all kind of guy. Goes over, saves a woman's life who was choking in the restaurant, gave the Heimlich maneuver. Here's the tweet right here from CNN International. This was national news. International news, one would say. Toronto Blue Jays manager John Schneider was at a restaurant when he noticed a woman at a nearby table was choking on her food. So he went to her rescue and performed the Heimlich maneuver. I mean,
I know.
Great for him. I have a story.
You go first. So do I.
That woman was once me. Well,
you were the one being saved.
I was once the person being saved via the Heimlich maneuver in a restaurant.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
I have, and my brother has, we have the exact same thing. It's called like Schlotsky's ring. We have a narrowing of the esophagus. So we will often eat, every time I eat, it gets stuck.
Well,
and then I just have to really we have to focus and wash it down, and it's very difficult. But one time at a restaurant, I took a bite of steak that was probably a little too large.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it to wash down. And just in the middle of this nice restaurant, started choking. And somebody came over and gave me the Heimlich maneuver.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, thank God you're okay. I've watched my mom do this twice. First time I remember, we were in Sun Valley, Idaho at an ice skating, Olympic ice skating qualifier, something like that. And we're at a shared table, and all of a sudden I just see her get up, race around the other side of the table, lift up this woman that we didn't know, we just happened to be at the same table, gave her the Heimlich, and saved her life. And it was the most badass thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
My mom, Peggy Curry, is my hero. It was just whoa. That was incredible.
I learned from my situation how to give myself the Heimlich maneuver.
Really?
Yeah.
You can do that?
Yeah.
We might need a lesson.
It's not easy, and it's kind of painful, but we'll
later.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah.
Next episode, we can do a self-Heimlich maneuver course.
Uh-huh.
This one's been fun, and we're getting closer and closer to the WBC starting. Literally, I think 2 weeks away from the WBC starting. The season starts March 30th. We're getting closer and closer there. We're ramping up things here on Flippin' Bats. Another episode is coming out soon. Guest interview with Lars Nootbaar. Oh, man, I am pumped for that one. St. Louis Cardinal, Team Japan in the WBC. That will be out. I believe it's coming out on Thursday, so stay tuned for that. So we have 2 episodes this week. This one has been a blast. Thank you all for listening. Really appreciate it. My voice and apparently looking awful from Nashville got through it. Alex threw me under the bus there.
No. Your voice got a lot better throughout the show, okay?
Yeah,
and I didn't mean that in a negative way. I'm a kind person, I swear.
Thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, and take a screenshot and send it to the email. Win a bat. Anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. Follow along on all social media as well. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And you can watch every single episode as well on YouTube at Flippin' Bats Pod for all of them. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time for another episode of Flippin' Bats.
See ya.